It's the PHNX Cardinals pregame show edition. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. The Arizona Cardinals host the Detroit Lions here in NFL Week 3. I'm Johnny Venerable, the playmaker. Brittan, Golden, Damon, Dawg behind the mic, and of course, Brack live from State Farm Stadium in just a few minutes. Welcome everybody in the chat. Drop a like and like our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the bonus code PHNX. 365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why it's never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. And speaking of never ordinary, check out our friends at Sanderson Ford. They're giving away big payoffs like 0% financing now for, 2024 Ford F-150s, Edge, Explorers, and Expeditions. Cardinals going to be on their expedition here today in an attempt to go over 500 for the first time in, count it, 2 seasons as they host Detroit. We got big takeaways, a big and active I want to talk about Brittan, Golden. But first, initial preview. How do you feel about this game, especially after last week's upset against the LA Rams?
The defense gave us a lot of hope last week. And praying for another week of just like that, defensive line getting after the quarterback, just creating havoc back there. And then offensively, just being able to mimic what you did last week, right? It doesn't have to go to a certain person, one person. We'd love to see it to go to Marvin Harrison as many times as it did last week. But at this point, it's just getting your guys active, getting your guys going, and moving the football down the field and putting points on the board.
A lot of games coming down to the wire across the NFL landscape. We will keep you posted on games like Philadelphia, New Orleans. The Chicago Bears trail Indianapolis by 12, heading into the final 3 minutes of that one. Arizona Cardinals, can they put together a winning streak for the first time under Jonathan Gannon? Can they exceed 500 for the first time since late 2021 for this team? It has been that long. Today they can do it against the Lions team that on paper, tremendous personnel. But like I said all week, this does feel like, if the Lions lose today, a little bit about a team you're familiar with. 2016 Arizona Cardinals had all the accolades. They had additions. Chandler Jones came into town. They had lost an NFC championship game. Everybody thought, retool, we're going to run it back. That team, how many wins that year in 2016?
8, maybe.
7 or 8
7
wins.
or 8 wins. What was that? It was one of those things that it was a complete opposite factor of what we did in 2015. Right? We were in pretty much every game we played in 2016.
Yep.
We just didn't win the close games. In 2015, we went to the NFC Championship. We won all the close games. If it was a close game at the end, we found a way to win games, right? And in 2016, it didn't happen. I mean, you're looking at a Lions team that did the exact same thing last year. They went to the NFC Championship. They won all the close games they were in last week. This could be a game, right? If you get the same production out of your defense and offense this week as you did last week as an Arizona Cardinal, I mean, you're looking at another upset on another week, and like you said, moving to 2-1, above 500, and maybe that, right? You win these close games, you have great seasons, and playoffs are in the mix.
We've talked about it ad nauseum, gentlemen. The Arizona Cardinals can play with house money here in the early part of this year, stack away some wins for a second half of the schedule that it really allows them to chalk up some late season wins. We'll see what happens with the Vikings and Sam Darnold, but of course, you've got Seattle twice, you've got Carolina, and you've got New England on your schedule in the back half. Can they win enough games to keep those games relevant and then some? Well, it starts and ends today here in Detroit, and it starts and ends with the inactives as it relates to the Arizona Cardinals. It's been much to do about nothing up until this week. Here and now, Kelvin Beachum is the story. Big number 68, the swing tackle, taking over for the also injured Jonah Williams, who's on injured reserve. Kelvin Beachum tweaked his hamstring late this week in practice. Jonathan Gannon said he was looking okay, but subsequently the Arizona Cardinals have made a decision whether or not Beachum can go. He cannot. The Arizona Cardinals, you would assume, are going to start Jackson Barnett who has never started a game in his NFL career. He's 29 years old. He was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl run last year, albeit it is inactive. So, again, whether it's Heck, whether it's Jackson, the Cardinals are going to have to get creative on the right side of the offensive line, especially when trying to combat somebody like Aidan Hutchinson, who, by the way, had 4 sacks in the team's loss last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You would assume we're going to still see a lot of 12 to 13 personnel. The Cardinals have had Jackson within their program for some time. And then you've got Tip Ryman there, big number 87 that you used a premium pick on. He's already one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL per Pro Football Focus. Like, what kind of creativity are you going to need to attempt to slow Big 97 down, Brittan?
A lot of it's just chipping, right? Using the running back out of the, when he's coming out of the backfield and pass plays. If he's going out on a flat or whatever kind of route he's got, chip, especially if it's the Aidan Hutchinson side, right? Just try to get a shoulder in there, slow him down, allow your tackle to be able to get back in his set and get his feet set, especially with the guy we're looking at essentially as a third string tackle right now, right? You've lost your starter, your backup's out. Now you've got a third string guy coming in. Whether he was third string on depth chart or not, he's third string today. So you got to find ways to get help. Like you said, you've got Tip Ryman, who's one of the top blocking tight ends in the league. You've got to use him, right? You can run 12 personnel. You can do that. Find ways to double team Aidan Hutchinson with the tight end and tackle. It's all it's going to be is just trying to slow him down. If you can slow him down and allow Kyler to get into a rhythm today, everything will work out. If not, it'll be real bad.
Charlie Heck, Jackson Barton. Can they get it done for the Arizona Cardinals today? And again, here's what I will say. It's a blow, but everybody's got injuries. You look around the landscape of the NFL right now, there's not a team playing at 100%. The Cardinals are going to get Darius Robinson back. We assume Jonah Williams will be back sometime this year. This is where you got to say, hey, Nick Rallis, Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, help us out. Elevate other players. Run away from him. Boot Kyler Murray on the opposite side of the field so he can't wreak havoc. Allow Will Hernandez to be the veteran savvy guard that he is and allow, Barnett or Heck or whomever's playing right tackle, we're assuming it's going to be Barnett, to come over there and chip a little bit. This shouldn't really disrupt you from, a run game perspective. And that's not a knock on Kelvin Beachum, but Beachum I thought was good from a pass protection standpoint, but the Cardinals had a lot of success running left behind Big Paris Johnson, Yelda Froholt, and Evan Brown. Keep going toward that. Keep going with what works. My only concern is, late in this game, if the Cardinals have to put up points and put up points in a hurry and have to get away from 12 or 13 personnel, maybe look at 10 to 11 personnel, you're going to be leaving that right side vulnerable to what Hutchinson can do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're going to be in situations where you're going to have to get at 12. You're going to have 3 and 4 wide receivers out there. It's going to have to turn into a quick game, right?
Yep.
Or find ways you're going to have to max protect, right? You're going to keep that running back in the backfield and say, hey, you're going to have to put your big boy pads on and take a couple hits back there to make sure Kyler stays off the ground. So either way you look at it, some people are going to have to step up. People are going to have to show up. You either get exposure or you get exposed, the thing BA used to tell us. So this is a big night for some young players, for some guys that don't get a lot of playing time, and you got to step up and make plays.
We're going to hear from Bo Brack here in just a little bit from State Farm Stadium. Damon, Dawg, let's hear from you with these super chats. Already got a couple here in the pipeline as folks are amped up and ready. By the way, drop a like on this pregame video if you would.
Alex Jerez, $4.99 super chat, friend of the program, says, too much blue in the stands. We need to set the tone early and shut their fans up.
Hey, hearing that, Saul Bookman, now a friend of this program, ex-GM, now part of ALLCITY. We still love Saul at the game today and said there was too much Lions blue in the crowd.
It tends to be that the Midwest, right? Those teams from up in the Midwest always seem to travel well, especially when you come down here to the Valley. Part of the problem is the daggum snowbirds all got houses down here, driving my golf prices up.
The only thing that cures that, we got to keep winning.
Keep winning. Make them leave.
Yep, that's right. And give Cardinal fans that, fair or not, maybe on the edge of, the tickets were a little bit more expensive than we've seen in some time, which trending again in the right direction.
It's going to be that way when you get those teams. When you get the teams that are playing well and doing well the season before, then ticket prices seem to skyrocket.
Let's hear from our guy Merv Damon if we could.
Merv Bustamante says $5 super chat, says J.R. Sweezy once sacked Kyler Murray against the Detroit Lions in 2019. Will Jackson Barton follow in his footsteps today?
Let's hope not.
I have trust in Jonathan Gannon. I have trust that this happened this week. They've had time to adjust. Is it going to be perfect? No. But at the same time, we've got the right people involved. The coaching staff who undressed Sean McVay last week, I have a hard time believing that they're just going to completely vomit all over themselves here in week 3. We're going to get to Bo Brack at State Farm Stadium in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass in particular. Again, we're not hanging there this weekend. It is a home game, but we will be there for every single away game, watch party, etc. this season. And again, if you're not in the area, come out to the area. If you're here looking for a staycation, check them out. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, they've got 4 locations, including our favorite, Wild Horse Pass. Lounge at either the AAA 4 Diamond Resorts and let relaxation take charge. 4,500 slots, live table games, or catch the action at their fantastic sports book, the biggest sports book at Wild Horse Pass in the great state of Arizona. How about A. Shula Steakhouse? Fantastic. The vibes are fantastic. I can't wait to get back there. I feel like, we've got so many home games in a row. I'm having Wild Horse Pass withdrawals, but soon enough we will be there, as well as our friends on the PHNX Suns beat. Watch parties galore. Stay tuned for more info on how to come and hang out with us. Even more, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Play at Gila.com for more details. We're going to play a little game called Dial Up Bo Brack at State Farm Stadium, our dear friend, co-host of this fine program here. Bo, joining us just in time here. Yes.
Answer the phone.
On what we like to call the Bird Gang Blitz. Before we jump into that, Bo, initial assessment of the home crowd, a little too much Honolulu blue in the stand?
Detroit Lions fans here at State Farm Stadium, unfortunately. So the Cardinals fans that are here in attendance, and there's still more of them. It's probably 60-40. They're going to have to drown them out today.
Let's talk about drowning out this pass rush for Detroit, and that brings us to segment number 1 here on the Bird Gang Blitz. Can they handle Aidan Hutchinson? That's the talking point. Bo, no Kelvin Beachum here, so you tell us. Give us your assessment on how the Arizona Cardinals are going to attempt to slow down what many assume is the current front-runner, albeit after 2 weeks, for Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL.
I think if you could sneak maybe like a Louisville Slugger, like a baseball bat into the stadium and let Jackson Barton play right tackle with the bat, you might be able to slow him down that way. But I was listening to you guys before, and yeah, I mean, it's just going to take a collection of, tight ends and running backs that are going to have to help slow down, a guy in Aidan Hutchinson who's a man-possessed, 5.5 sacks already this season. And, you're already down to your third-string tackle with no career starts. I think it's going to look similar to a guard spot that they had last year where you saw a mix between Tristan Colon and, forgive me for not remembering who else was filled in, but they just rode what they viewed as the hot hand to maybe hold down that spot for that game. So I expect Charlie Heck to get some snaps as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like the Arizona Cardinals, Brittan Golden, with the challenge Detroit has posed to LA and Tampa Bay, do you feel like the Cardinals are in a better position with the mobility of Kyler Murray, considering they've faced they've faced Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield through 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch the Detroit and the Rams game, right, you can see all the pressure that they built up on, Matthew Stafford kind of started to kick in, right? We got Kyler Murray in the backfield.
Yeah.
We saw Kyler Murray last week escape some of the most impossible things, in the backfield to find and throw a dime for a touchdown, right, to Elijah Higgins. So I think Kyler Murray poses a threat just for them. Like, those guys in Detroit love to get upfield. Mm-hmm. They like to get upfield fast. They like that pass rush. If he can find ways to step up in the pocket and create plays with his legs, I think that starts slowing down that defensive front. And, just for the fact that if we keep rushing upfield and he steps up in the pocket and he takes off for 30 yards every single time, now we're just toasting ourselves, right? So, I think having a mobile quarterback like Kyler Murray and a guy like Kyler Murray that can escape trouble, I think that actually is a benefit to the Cardinals today.
Yeah, Bo, I've been talking to a lot of Lions fans this week. I've been scouting it on Twitter, as have you. You've been on the Lions broadcast throughout this week, that Detroit struggles with mobile quarterbacks. So how do you expect Kyler Murray's legs to play a part in keeping Aidan Hutchinson and company honest?
A huge part. And it's not just Kyler Murray, right? It's James Conner also getting it going. And that's one thing that I think this Lions defense could kind of hang their hat on, is they've been able to slow down opposing teams' rushing attacks. Can James Conner, can the Cardinals continue to play to that strength despite the Lions' approach to slow it down. So, it's as Buda Baker said, it's violence on violence, and I think it's going to start with the Arizona Cardinals can do their passing game such a service here by establishing the run early on and maybe running at guys like Aidan Hutchinson because they are geared up more towards kind of a bulldozing rushing attack instead of a drop back passing attack.
Yeah, the Cardinals offense, it goes through the run game. What about the Detroit Lions? That brings us into segment 2 here on the Bird Gang Blitz. Jared Goff in running. Jared Goff threw the ball 50 times last week. That's not how the Lions are built. You would assume, gentlemen, with the lack of success, last week notwithstanding, that this Cardinal defense has had stopping the run. This is a road game for the first time for Detroit, Brittan. You look at the tandem. We talked about it off air. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, I should say. Got to assume Dan Campbell wants to go back to the well of what got them to the NFC Championship game last year.
No, I agree. And you're on the road, right? You want to establish that run game early. So I would expect to see a lot of David Montgomery early, and then throwing in Jahmyr Gibbs at the scat back and trying to get him on the outside. I think if I'm Dan Campbell, I'm just trying to get that started, especially against a defense that has shown that they're not very good against the run in the last couple of years. I'm going to try to establish that early. So for our defense, it's about staying home. It's about staying in your gap, keeping contained on the outside, and just trying to limit the big runs. If you can just keep them to 2 and 3 yard runs here, you can get off the field in 3 downs, right? But it's easier said than done at that point, especially with 2 premier running backs back there. So it's a 1-2 punch they've got, right? Dave Montgomery's going to hit it in between the tackles, and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to hit that outside. If he gets the outside, it's see you later. So it's about wrapping up, making tackles when you have the opportunity to make them, and just making the play.
Bo, who's a player that you're watching on the Cardinals front 7 that needs to be disruptive for this team to have a chance to slow down Detroit's offense?
Yeah, what you saw last week, it was coming from the edges. I think the guys interior-wise did a really good job, and they're going to be a little bit more beefed up this week with Dante Stills getting a call. And you're going to probably see Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis lean more into the guys that they've invested in on the outside linebackers position. No Lucetta. You also don't have Victor Dumakaji, so it's going to be a big Zaven Collins, Dennis Gardeck game. Especially, it's not just getting after the quarterback; it's also being bullies in the run game and on the defensive side of the football. So it's the usual suspects here. They just need to step up and play against a lot better opponent than last week.
Yeah, you figure, could this be a game in which that interior pressure finally gets home? They're so sound up front, but specifically their tackles are elite. Can you find an opportunity to make Goff uncomfortable? As much as we love Tampa Bay's defense, they got lit up today. They couldn't stack Goff last week. So, it really comes into question. The Lions have played 2 close games against 2 teams that I think we're finding out could be a little bit fraudulent, right? These early scheduled games and these opponents, we really don't have a good idea of who anybody is. The Saints just lost. The Packers are winning games with Malik Willis, but they're not playing anybody. I think the Arizona Cardinals, if they come out and start a similar fashion of what they did last week and instill this home crowd mentality, they have every opportunity to run away with this game again. And that gets me to our last segment here on the Bird Gang Blitz. It's the home hot streak. Bo, we talked about it this week. Marvin Harrison Jr. only knows State Farm Stadium of what he saw last week, right? And that's a raucous crowd. That's him dominating through 2 quarters of football where they basically just pulled him at that point. Wasn't a focal point of the offense in the second half because he didn't have to be. I think it's so imperative for this young, impressionable team, Bo, to continue to light a fire under this crowd and make this crowd believe that this is a different environment. Because for so long, opposing fans, losing streaks, right? Once upon a time when it was either Carson Palmer and Bruce Arians, Brittan, you were there, or further back, Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald and Ken Wisenhunt, this fan base rallied around those teams because they were likable, but Brittan, more importantly, they were winning football games at that building.
Well, that was the thing, right? Yeah, I know when I was here, we won a lot of games outside of those last couple of years, when we were 8-8 or whatever it was. But 2013, 2014, 2015, there was a lot to be excited about. And that place was loud. You're talking, you couldn't hear yourself think it sometimes, right? And you're putting points up. It's close games. At the end of the game, you hear I know our defense would get so pumped up at that time. That place is rocking. Other teams don't know what they're calling. They're just looking at the quarterback in the eye. They can't hear a word he says. You know, we had a crazy defense at the time. It was just one of those. If you can get back to that aspect where they were last week, I know that place was loud. I know it was rocking. Just to see Kyler Murray and the offense go wild, watch the defense get sacks and create havoc. That's what you've got to do again this week to get that crowd involved. You got to keep pushing the ball. I mean, the last 2 games, what is it? Cardinals have gone first 3 possessions, you know, scoring 3. I mean, you've scored 3 times on 3 possessions opening the game. You've got to find a way to do that again this week. You got to find a way to get points on the board every time you have the ball, especially early today. And the defense needs to get rowdy early. Get sacks, create havoc, you know, make a big play, create a turnover. Do that, get that crowd invested in this game, and you can cause some problems for Detroit.
Bo, we'd be remiss if we didn't highlight the attire for the Arizona Cardinals today and how great it looks on especially a lot of their new players. Is that a motivation for your wardrobe selection I'm noticing today?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But let me just kind of parlay Brittan's comments with my own. I mean, we heard from Michael Wilson, we heard from Budda Baker, we heard from Jonathan Gannon himself that this team expects a physical challenge coming into town here. But it's like, you're not going to come in and out physical us on our turf. And I long for those days, the BA days, Brittan Golden's Cardinals, where they would go out there and they would punch you in the mouth. And it's so important that they establish that here early on. They haven't had back-to-back wins but once in this presidency. It's long overdue. It's time to stack back-to-back wins here before another. You know, we got somebody else in office. I mean, that's embarrassing. So they need to figure it out. And this is an opportunity here. They don't care like what the expectations were for the Lions going into the season. This is the opportunity that's in front of them.
We've got opportunities here to get you hooked up with our friends, Bo, at Sanderson Ford. We talked about it, all the elite deals that they've got going on at their dealership, specifically the Glendale location. Sanderson Ford giving you big paydays like 0% financing now in the 2024 F-150, Escape, Edge, Explorer, and Expeditions. Again, they've got a 65-acre facility that makes it the largest Ford dealership in the nation. We've seen it firsthand. It is elite. I'm looking to upgrade my vehicle selection at the Venerable household. You should too. Check them out. They've got great customer service. They've got people ready to help you find your dream vehicle. That includes, again, the F-150, which is, I mean, that's if there's a vehicle that's more American, I would love to see it. The Ford F-150. Sanderson Ford is family owned and operated through 3 different generations. They thrive on no hassle, no pressure, and no nonsense sales approach. I've seen it firsthand. They're great people. You go out, you have a conversation, you have them fit your needs to their vehicles, and it's fantastic. Go out and see for yourself. Get deals on the 2024 Ford Bronco Sport for, get this, 5.9 APR for 66 months plus $2,000. Must be financed through Ford Motor Credit, AOC. Also, help us celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. And check them out. Again, Sanderson Ford, see dealership for details. And we got the details, baby, with our friends at Bet365. We're tapping that app. Bo Brack, anytime touchdown with Marv. Is that going to cash today for the 2nd consecutive week? What say you?
I'm going to respectfully decline with the anthem going here.
Okay, no worries. We're going to talk about our parlay. It's boosted right now with our friends at Bet365. It's an MHJ anytime touchdown. It's Kyler Murray over 25 yards rushing. And then how about a little James Conner? All you got to do is you got to hit 75 total yards from scrimmage, rushing and receiving. Typically, we'd be 500. Your friends at PHNX Cardinals are going to boost that up to 550 right now. It's our pregame picks. We are over 60% for the year. We're going to round out this parlay, baby. Go and download the Bet365 app today. You will find this. You will profit from this, and you'll get it boosted. PHNX 365 is the bonus code. Choose your offer. Find out why. Not even for a moment. It's never ordinary with our friends at Bet365. Got to be 21 years and older. Got to be located in the great state of Arizona. For someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov for more information. I asked you, Bo Brack, if you're available. Marvin Harrison Jr., does he find the end zone again today? Malik Neighbors, everybody's tooting his horn after your early slate of games, had 2 touchdowns and continues to dominate for a bad Giants team. Does Marv find his way to the end zone today? What say you?
I think he's got a good shot at it. I mean, we've seen some really good receiver play against this Lions secondary. And I think if, you've got the opportunity in the middle of the field, Marv, I think fits that more so than our guy Michael Wilson, who's going to play kind of more on the perimeter. So let's go with MHJ. I like it. Let's cash this one, baby. 60% doesn't get it done for a parlay. We need it. We need to go 3 for 3. We need Marv in the end zone.
If you need a Pit Boss Grill, we've got you covered. We're doing giveaways all season long. The link is in the chat. Sign up for a chance to win a Pit Boss Grill with us here at PHNX Sports, PHNX Cardinals. It's prediction time here. 3 minutes before kickoff, I'm going to defer to my better half here in studio, Brittan Golden. Bo and I are already on the record. Cardinals are going to get a dub today, a close dub, while Sweet Baby Damon is picking the Cardinals to take the L for the third consecutive week. Brittan, what say you?
I mean, I'm going to ride the high we had last week. I'm going to come out saying the defense is fired up out of the performance they put on film last week. The offense as well. They've been moving the ball well. They've scored on multiple possessions in a row. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to come down to, can you stop Aidan? Can you slow down? You're not going to be able to stop Aidan Hutchinson. He's one of those players that you can't completely stop. But can you slow him down? Can you allow Kyler Murray to have a little bit of time to find his receivers, to find his tight end, to get James Conner the ball in and outside of the backfield? If you can do that, I think the Cardinals win in a close game today.
Damon, Dawg, I'm not going to put you on the spot. It's 3 versus 1, but I am going to ask you to read these remaining super chats, my friend.
All right, sounds good. We'll do. PR Mac, $2 super chat says, Tip just ordered pancakes for Hutchinson. Start eating.
Oh, my goodness. You would love to see that. Tip on Hutch crime. Will we see it today over the course of 4 quarters? I'm going to tell you what you will see. Your premier PHNX Cardinals, Arizona Cardinal halftime show immediately following the first half of action. And then guess what? Brack returns on the PHNX Cardinals post-game show. Like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. This is your game day coverage at the highest degree. For Brittan Golden, Damon, Dawg, Brack at State Farm Stadium, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you after the first half.
We all silly like the mayor.